Everybody, welcome to Stack Your Points. Thanks for watching and listening. And this is the Friday Q&A segment. So your questions, we answer them, sometimes up to an hour, sometimes it creates its own episode in and of itself. So if you have questions, always feel free to drop them on the YouTube channel or email us at stackyourpoints@gmail.com. But we hope you enjoy this week's Q&A session. Thanks for watching and listening. Welcome to another episode of Stack Your Points. As always, I'm Matt from the Matt Lawson YouTube channel, joined by my co-hosts Lani from Call Me Lani, who was out last week. Lani, how are you today, sir?
Don't get excited. I'm only back to do my laundry. I'll be gone this weekend. All right. But I'm doing good.
Totally fair. Next up, we've got Tariq from Reek's Rewards. Tariq, how are you today?
I'm good. Good. Had a good weekend. Feeling good. I'll actually be out on the weekend, not as long as Lani, because I'll be back on Monday, but I got a trip myself, so feeling good.
Excellent. And finally, RJ from Do You Take Cards. RJ, how are you today?
I'm good. I just got back from a trip. So I don't have another trip coming up for a month. So I am tired, but I am here.
Yeah, let's jump into our viewer questions. And we've got a number to get through. Our first is going to come from YouTube commenter Double Animal Fries. Again, we love the In and Out reference. And they ask, what if you all traded locations? Say RJ moves to Lani's location, Lani moves to Matt's location, Matt moves to Tariq's location, and Tariq moves to RJ's location. Would you still keep your strategy or adopt the strategy of the person you're taking the place of, or something in between or entirely different? Thanks again for considering. Listen to a bunch of credit card content, but you guys are my favorite. Appreciate the many perspectives on each scenario. So double, thank you so much. Since we've got a lot of moving parts on this one, let's go with RJ, you doing the first round, and then we'll go through each person.
So I think if I moved to the West Coast and had sort of San Francisco or LAX options for myself, I would probably have to legitimately look at everything I'm doing, because right now it is so tailored to the regional airport I fly out of. I'm using Delta. And the hotels I'm staying at are, I mean, a lot of the travel I do is East Coast travel, or, getting into the Tennessees and the Kentuckys and things like that. So because of that, I have sort of tailored my strategy based on that. If I'm on the West Coast, if I'm going up to Seattle, if I'm going, down into like the San Diegos, if I'm, going to Cupertino, all of the things that I might be doing, I'm gonna have to take a look. Like maybe I do get a bunch of Hawaiian points and then switch them to Alaska and, go live large that way. I don't know. But to answer this question, I would have to reevaluate literally everything I'm doing, which isn't a bad thing, right? Like I've said it before, the reason for my Delta loyalty is not necessarily, purely on Delta. Yes, I like their service in first class. I like a lot of things they do. And I don't like a lot of things they do out of the flights lately. But part of that is location. And for my location, for how I do things, for me, Delta makes the most sense. Now, other people might, disagree with that because I don't use Mileage Plus X as much as Tariq, who's going to have to answer for my location. So we'll see if that changes his. I use Rakuten to get the MR points so I can do different things that way. So my strategy is so tailored to being sort of in a more remote place and having the regional airport. I'm 5-ish hours out of the city, so Newark, LGA, those are all layovers for me, not where I'm flying out of. And I don't mind a longer layover because I have the Platinum. I can go to the Centurion Lounge. I can go to the Delta Lounge. So I have those abilities, and I already know I'm going to have the layover. So I have already given myself over to that, to where if I was flying direct, maybe my strategy around what I book changes as well as where what airline I'm booking on. So I would have to change basically everything moving out of sort of the country area.
Thanks for that. And Lani, if you were moving to the confines of suburban New York City?
Yeah, it wouldn't really change anything except for the time it takes me to commute to a major airport. So my oldest brother lives in upstate New York. So I've actually done this drive and this commute a couple of different times. Um, but I still have EWR. You can fly United through JFK and LaGuardia. I have done it. It's just not the main hub airport. It's just better to go through EWR or Newark International, I should say, for y'all don't know airport codes. Um, so it really wouldn't change that much for me. And let's just pretend that something did change. Well, once again, I have three very large, major international airports right there. I got every airline almost on the planet within an arm's reach of one another. And if not, within an hour commute between each other. Um, so even with that, most of the travel day itself, getting to the airport, getting to the airline, wouldn't change as much as I would just have to change the way that I book. And no matter what, it's still transfer points, a couple clicks of the mouse, whatever it is. So I hate to not have a more sophisticated answer, but I mean, New York's New York, man. It's New York. One of the busiest places in the world. We're good. Nothing's going to change too much.
Yeah, the difference for me is just that I look at things as trying to give myself as much flexibility, whereas Lani is just locked in on United. So he has United and Newark Liberty International as like that main go-to. But if he wants to fly something else, he's got the option on the other side of the water. So like for me with airlines, that's partly why I haven't committed to a Delta, why I haven't committed to American, why I haven't committed to United, is just like I can kind of pick and choose who's going to be my best option for whatever I'm looking to do for that flight and just go from there. Um, so I take the flexible approach. Lani not so much, but both approaches where I live work really well.
You just don't like New Jersey. Like, just admit it as a New Yorker. I'm a fellow New Yorker. We just really hate New Jersey.
They stole Ellis Island from us in a lawsuit, and quite frankly, I'm not over it.
All right. I'm not going to go historical here, but I have a real big problem with that statement.
Stealing land, yeah, no.
Especially New
Fair.
York land.
Yeah,
Yeah. Moving on.
that's all right. We'll just fill in the rest of the land, and we'll just fill in the rest of the water between it with more garbage. Anyway, moving on. If I was in Tariq's location in San Antonio, looking at the San Antonio airline terminal listing, um, my points, I would probably have to commit to either Southwest, which right now could be a good idea, depending on what their new changes look like going forward, or committing to American Airlines. And I don't think I could go wrong either way. I don't think American is a hub, but American does have part of a dedicated terminal, so that's cool. And I'll probably find more direct flights on American than I would on Delta or JetBlue or um, Sun Country USA. So I would probably switch things up and go more American focused or Southwest focused, depending on what the new announcements are. If I was coming at this fresh right now, if I was looking at this like 6 months ago, I'd probably just go all in on American, get the American Platinum Select card. I would have been in on Built with when American was a transfer partner, and I'd be looking at ways to supplement my American flight capabilities, whether it is transferring points to British Avios, transferring points to finding ways to transfer points to Alaska, anything that gets me into one world, I will focus points that way to then move and book on American. That would probably be my best approach. And if the Southwest option is good, I could switch up my approach and just go all in on Southwest and see like what the new companion certificate requirements will be, um what assigned seating is going to look like. Is it going to be like an A plus preferred thing? But I would be between American and Southwest primarily. And then, just focusing my credit card strategy to alleviate to work one of those two airlines and then just go from there. There's no major lounges that I'm aware of that Tariq has mentioned. There's like a USO lounge, and am I forgetting one, Tariq?
There's a United Club in Terminal B.
Well, that's slightly annoying. But if I wanted to go to United, I'd probably just drive up to Houston, and that's a terrible idea. But no, I'd probably just stick with American and Southwest.
Okay, I want to touch on that a little bit, just because I obviously Southwest and American with San Antonio, those are the heavy hitters. Reason why I picked United, aside from the United Club, is unless I'm going to fly more direct with Southwest, my options are either going to flying United, connecting in Houston, or connecting in DFW. And I don't like dealing with DFW, and I for sure don't want to deal with Charlotte, which is why I didn't even want to pick American. And with things that were going on, San Antonio's planning on doing building a new terminal, doing a lot of expansions and stuff. So with the way things are going, it looks like United might actually have their own designated terminal because American and Delta are going to be like moving to the new terminal, which has caused a lot of disgruntledness with Southwest. But even though Southwest runs like the majority of Terminal A, also JetBlue is like non-existent. You want to fly JetBlue, you got to go to Austin. They just pulled out of San Antonio. I think it was dumb. So sad face. It is what it is. But yeah, don't drive to Houston just to fly United. It's like a 3-hour drive, not including traffic. I mean, you can just make sure you stop off at Buc-ee's before you do so.
Do I get a direct flight?
Well, yeah, you obviously yes, because you're flying to Houston because IH is a United hub, but 3 hours? I mean,
Houston flights just cost more all around as well. So if you can avoid it, just avoid it. Houston is like London to Heathrow. For some reason, well, we know why London to Heathrow costs more, but
Yes.
they just tax for flights more in Houston. It's so annoying.
plus there's two airports too. I mean, if you don't want to do United and you have to connect in Southwest, like have a Southwest connection, there is Houston Hobby. So that's like the kind of weird, cool thing since Southwest doesn't have like a true hub system. They have like their focus cities being like Chicago Midway, Houston Hobby, Dallas Left Field, et cetera, et cetera. Those would be like your connection cities too, depending on where you're wanting to fly.
I'm flying Southwest to start with. I just need to go from A to B. I don't want to deal with C and D along the way. If Southwest can't get me from A to B, I'm going to go with who will get me to A to B easiest. So that's why I started with Southwest and American. If there's going to be more issues with it, I just have to figure it out from there.
Yeah, your best bet, unless, like I said, unless you're flying direct, like point to point with Southwest, is either United or American. And funny enough, United and American both share the same terminal. So either one of those two, you'll be in Terminal B.
I mean, if you have a terminal and you can go from there. But yeah, if I'm in San Antonio, I'm working either American or I'm working Southwest. My credit card strategy will then go with what can get me on American, what can get me on Southwest. But I'm reserving judgment on Southwest just because I don't know what the changes that are coming to Southwest are going to do, and if it's going to make me more likely to fly Southwest or less likely to fly Southwest. So that's my only qualm there. But Tariq, if you were in the tundras of New York, what is your strategy here?
I'm sorry.
Try. But aside from that, I was actually, before the recording, I was doing looking at the research of Albany Airport, despite the fact that from RJ's location, It's like an hour or so drive. Which funny enough, there's a Hyatt Place in Albany, so maybe I'll just book some points and just fly the night, stay the night before my hotel. Maybe I'll do that. But Albany Airport, I've realized looking at the airport statistics, like at a somewhat smaller scale, it's kind of similar to how San Antonio Airport is. So I don't even feel like I would have too much of a change. Like I could still fly United. It might be maybe more points expensive depending, and my hubs would change. I would have a choice between either EWR, IAD, or if I wanted to go O'Hare, maybe not. But I can always just that still like at least airline stays that stay the same. It's just kind of a matter of am I going to be able to have as many points through like mileage plus dining, earning through mileage plus X, mileage plus shopping. I'm seeing heavy shaking from RJ, which is sad
There's one
because
restaurant within like 30 miles that I would consider eating at that is on any of the dining apps. Like
is there a
it's
Chili's?
no, there's where I am, there's a lot of local mom and pop places which are great and the food is really good, but they're not on any dining program.
Is there an Applebee's?
Yes, but only if you want food poisoning.
Food poisoning is not worth 3 miles per dollar. Dang.
No, it is not.
Uh,
Like, there's some great food up here. There is some genuinely very, very good food up here. Just none of it is on Delta Dining, Milo's Plus X, Rakuten. Like, it's just not. Like, unfortunately, even like, you get down into the more touristy places, it's just not. Like, upstate New York is not about the mileage plus X game. I'm sorry.
You could always recommend those restaurants to join the program.
I mean, I could do that, yes. I can get as long as it's not too expensive. But there's always Grubhub, DoorDash, Uber Eats.
No, there's not.
You're
Not
gonna
for
be
a
a
Jesus.
majority of these
Oh my
places. No,
God.
there's
What?
not. I can't
Oh,
get I can get delivery about twice a year. Some service will pop up and do a delivery and then it's just gone. Like I can't get a pizza. I can't get grocery delivery. I can go pick up my grocery order, but I can't get like I'm sorry, friend. Like you think you all of these strategies that you have break as soon as you get out of a major metropolitan
oh
area.
my
They just
gosh.
break hard.
I mean,
you're gonna have to pull up to a Bennigan's.
look, I know I didn't realize it was that extent. It's almost like a mileage plus X desert. But then again, I can't do it with Delta dining, so it's just like I gotta choose my hard. So I'm still gonna choose United as my hard because I can still churn the crap out of chase points if I really absolutely wanted to. And I still plan on getting the United Club Infinite. I mean, maybe if I'm dealing with United and playing the connection, connecting in Dulles, depending on like I can't remember exactly where the lounge is. Like maybe I can go with the Venture X just to burn the credit to fly and connect in Dulles to do that Capital One lounge. But all in all, with the exception of the very painful realization that Mileage Plus X is going to be nerfed heavily, I could still try. I mean,
Also, fun fact, no lounges. So, you get to the airport, because it's a small airport, so the line usually moves pretty quickly, but you still, on the off chance, want to be there early. You're sitting with everybody else. There are no lounges. There are no talks of lounges. There is a very nice airport bar that I usually go to if I'm not flying out early because the bartenders usually are very nice. Even if you're like just sipping on a club soda, like they tend to be very nice because there's no lounges, so they're basically the only option. Um,
so
but yeah, no,
there's a place I can drink my sorrows away and realizing that there's
yeah.
no lounge.
you're
There's
gonna
a
you're gonna be
Dunkin', but it's on the wrong side of security.
Jesus Christ, a dunk. Wait, you're telling me there's a Dunkin' that's not even airside?
No,
you're
it's
gonna
on the other
you're gonna
side.
be sitting at the gate with your Rubbermaid container of your leftover steak from the Sizzler.
We don't even have a Sizzler.
Oh my God, what do you have?
Well,
Pain?
if you
Suffering?
go down like the main drag, I think there used to be a smash burger that's gone. There is a Chipotle. Sketchy
I can
Chipotle
get
though.
half a mile for $1. At this point, I'll take it.
There's a Hooters. That's one of the big draws in the area.
Is Hooters
What,
on Hollywood Plus X?
like literally, no, like look, like there are
Yes.
some nice parts of Albany, but there are some like deserts of like just food and different things because Albany is so like it's supporting the capital, right? So there's a bunch of diners and stuff around the capital, but there's not a lot like outside of that. Like there are some great places, but not the kind of places you're looking for to get the extra points boost. Like
Is there a Cracker Barrel Outback?
there's a Cracker Barrel up the Northway, but it's a solid 45
Oh,
minutes
you're
from the
reaching
Cracker
now.
Barrel to the airport.
Cracker
And it's
Barrel's
not
4
going to be
miles per
open.
dollar.
And it's not going to be open when you want to go and eat there. Like, look, dude,
The hell
you
is it
get on me
open?
for not using all of these apps. I don't use them because I can't. Like, I
Oh,
don't have
God.
that option to be able to do it. I live in the highlands of the Adirondacks. Like I'm basically Scottish.
Bad enough moving upstate New York, I lose my
Hey.
beloved barbecue.
Like there are some wonderful things about living in upstate New York.
I just
My
love
cost
how
of
Tariq,
living is much cheaper than yours.
I just love how Tariq is making all his decisions on is it an MPX app or not. Like, you can go to any restaurant.
I mean, yes, I can earn points that way, but I'm sorry, I like to stack, but apparently Albany is a stack desert.
It's like, so here's the thing is most people aren't going to actually live in Albany proper. Like if you move up here, you're probably not living in Albany proper. You're going to live in a Colony or a Schenectady or a Rensselaer, or I'm just naming places that none of you have any idea about. Matt might know a little bit. The problem is that living in those places, there's great food, there's great culture, there's great things, but none of it is stackable. You'll have a wonderful time, but you're not stacking. And then you go up to like the Saratogas or the Lake Georges or the Ticonderogas or the Plattsburghs, which are great places, still not stackable. So, yeah, you're probably not going to love United as much as you think you're going to love United because you're not going to be able to do the things that you like about United up here.
Well,
You're-
there's still Southwest, I guess.
Your
And
best
a lot of
United
people
or-
like Southwest up here because it has more direct connections than Delta or United. I just don't want to fly Southwest.
your best option if you're going to go the Chase and United and Southwest route is just going to be churning inks like there's no tomorrow. And until some YouTube creators inevitably break the ink train,
Please don't. If I'm going to Albany, that's all I got left.
if the ink train ever breaks, you're SOL. Like you're going to have to change some strategies.
Maybe I'll get the Amtrak card.
You don't want to go to the place in Albany where the
Jesus,
Amtrak station
LaShawn
is, sir.
Price, what do you have?
Like you
Oh,
can
no.
go there, but you're probably gonna get mugged.
Oh my God, no, I don't want that. And there's no way in hell I'm sitting on a Greyhound.
No,
Lord.
no, don't do that. The floor is sticky and nobody knows why.
I'm
Oh,
about to
I can tell you
cry.
why.
No, please. Look, I know we're not there in subscriber count yet, but I eventually want this to potentially maybe get monetized or just not strike down Lani. Save that for Joe's Tuesday Live, please.
Can I just say I love the complete and utter breakdown that Tariq is having right now because the strategy that works best for him right now will burn.
Look, it's bad enough. It's Monday. The Saints just lost again for the third time in a row. My fantasy team got their teeth kicked in. Sports ball is not good for me right now. So I'm just taking loss after loss after loss today. So I want the suffering to end.
So
You're
And
not a
Tariq,
Jets or a Mets fan. You know nothing of suffering.
yeah. So Tariq, when we talk and I tell you about the things I do, does it at least make more sense now than it did before?
yes, and I'm sorry. Move the hell out of New York, or at least upstate New York.
No, I like my cost of living up here. Thank you.
Damn it. Fair enough.
Well, double double. Thank you so much for that question and the hours of entertainment we're gonna have laughing at Tariq's breakdown on that one. All right, we'll move on to the next question. This one comes from Kid Cat, who asks, as technology continues to rapidly develop, what features slash real world applications would you like to see merged with credit cards and the overall points and miles game? Bonus question, what's your favorite app or UI in the credit card game? It could be an issuer or a third party. RJ, do you want to take the first answer on this one, just so that Tariq has a little bit of time to breathe?
Yes. So I don't know if this is going to be surprising to anybody. I really like the Apple Card, the way it's set up. Like it's very easy. You can see if you're going to make this payment, like how much interest you're going to owe, what's going to accrue. It's great. What I would love is you being able to add cards into that are not the Apple Card and get the same UI that you get with the Apple Card. So if I could add in my platinum or my green or my gold or whatever and just swipe through the cards and have the same sort of interface for everything, the same breakdowns, all of that, I think that would be great because it would sort of be able to put everything in from all of the issuers and just sort of see it on a card by card basis in a way that I don't have to go to multiple apps. And I'm not talking for tracking like points or anything like that, just purely like paying things off and seeing, I don't carry balances on non-zero APR cards, but it's still nice to see like what those things are or what it would do. So I would personally really like that. And it would be nice for the aggregation of seeing, okay, I spent this much on entertainment, I spent this much sort of across it without having to have a separate app. I use an app that I track everything in. Not having to do that would just be nice. As far as my favorite UI that's not that UI that I just talked about, I really tend to like the Amex app when the Amex app updates with the latest version of the UI because it sometimes will go back like they just added you can see a loan, but sometimes when the app loads, the loan isn't there because they go back and forth with the UI a little bit. So when the Amex app works the way it's supposed to, it looks really good. I'm on the fence if I like the Wells Fargo app. I just got the Choice Select card, so I'm playing now with um, the Wells Fargo app. I don't know if I like it as much as other apps. I like it more than the Chase app, which seems a little busy for my money. I definitely like it more than the Capital One app. So yeah, overall, though, most credit card apps, at least in the iOS world, seem to be at least good, if not better than good, which is kind of nice.
Definitely makes sense. Lani, your thoughts on this one?
I'm gonna quickly move to tap and pay, and that should be some type of bonus category, earnings category, cherry on top, and incentive or something of that nature, where we can just start using our phones and the devices in our pockets for everything. We're already starting to see it on the airline side. There's been digital boarding passes for years, and even closer to decades now. They're now doing digital check-ins at multiple hotels, including Hilton, which we've talked about today, earlier this week, depending on when you're watching this episode or not, where I can, check in, log in, skip the check-in counter, just walk straight to my room, verify myself with my fingerprint reader on my device, and unlock my door with, a Bluetooth or RFID type of transmission or something that comes directly on my phone. Lots of hotel chains do it. But we still have to carry around these little wallets with, 2 or 3 cards because sometimes you just need it. Talking to you, Amex Platinum. Sometimes you just need to carry it, or you just have to carry it around with you. Where I would like to see, Chase say, you just signed up for X card and I can opt out and just be like, if I opt out and just use tap and pay, maybe I get an extra point per dollar per transaction per bonus category or something like that. Not just to talk about ease of use and technology, but also sustainability. This would remove plastics. This would help recycle, the aluminums and things that they're already using. That, I mean, we all got a stack of expired cards in a sock drawer or something. Mine's are right behind me. This could help save all of that. So there's multiple implementations that we could use that would make this just easier and better. But it's just like your Tesla, use your phone. Hotel, use your phone. I can walk into my house and, security, alarm, unlock doors, all that with my phone. But I can't buy a double and an animal fry. I mean, I can, but I don't get anything extra when I use my phone. Like, let's just be more sustainable here. I'm not going to go too deep down that rabbit hole, but that's my 2 cents.
And any favorite app or UI in the credit card game?
Not really. Google Wallet, I guess, because I can save everything in it. I got my digital driver's license. I got my digital passport. I got all my digital cards. I got my, vaccine history in Google Wallet. Um, I just like it the way that it organizes everything, keeps all my loyalty cards, all my gift cards, all my credit cards, all in one simple spot. Now, if you're talking about like something like mileage plus X, yeah, I use it. Would I say it's my favorite? Probably not, but I definitely use it. I don't use any of the other type of credit card applications like Max Rewards or Kudos or anything like that. Not to say there's anything wrong with them. They're just not for me. So
Makes sense. Tariq, is there anything you'd like to see real world applications or anything merge with credit cards going forward?
So one of the things that was recently nerfed due to overuse in regarding certain creators was the curve card. And I did like the feature of being able to potentially use whatever card or like switch the card for the earnings multiplier. And I think it would be cool if every bank, I think it was in like development. I remember hearing something about it, or at least with like Visa or something. But if like every bank, like if Chase had like their version of the curve card, so in an aspect for like those that don't want to switch to tap to pay, but still want to like do like a sustainability campaign push, reduce the amount of plastic, you could just issue them one card and have a way for it to like even if you add additional cards, you can still use that card that you can have it be you can have your Sapphire Preferred, you could have the Freedom Unlimited and find a way to do both MasterCard and Visa because of how Chase does it in a weird, funny way. If not, it could just be one for the MasterCard, one for the Visa card, but whatever. But I think that would be cool because it could at least reduce you to like having like one chase card, and that chase card is going to have all of your potential ultimate reward earning category cards, or even I can go as far as to say like your United, Hyatt, insert whatever co-brand card as well. To have that, American Express could be the best way to do it because all American Express cards are American Express. So you could have your green, your gold, your platinum, your Hilton Honors, your Bonvoy, Bevy, whatever, and it all be on that one card. So I think that could be a really cool option for those that you don't want to merge to tap to pay. And even if it is like a certain fee, just to have that feature to be able to switch to know what cards you want to put on, or at least pay have like automatically done. that could be something that they could potentially make some money off of, and it could be a convenience thing for people in the community that don't feel like going through the book and being like, okay, I need to use the gold card for this, for the green card for tolls or whatever. You can just have your Amex card, and then it can just automatically notify and flag based on the cards you have and what's going to be your best earning category. Um, Regarding best app, at least UI, I use Max Rewards. I like the way the UI works. Caveat is when the app works, because with trying to use the account connections and two-factor authentications, and there's other bank security features that happen even with it being 256-bit encryption. Chase was like the biggest offender for it. A lot of the times, Max Rewards will lose connections and have issues connecting with those apps. So that's the only caveat, is like when it completely works. I even went as far as to not be able to connect my Chase cards for probably like 3 to 4 months just waiting on it to go. But I do love the UI. I love the fact that it can, it highlights all your cards. It shows your reward balances. It even goes, they even added a feature where you can do recurring charge. It now has recurring charges, but you can do like the best card cat for a category, and even location-based services if you have it. It can show like, hey, you're at this restaurant's nearby, use your top earning category card for like whatever category. So I like that feature. So the usability when it completely works is good, because I even pay for, I think it's worth the gold, especially being able to connect and have all the Amex offers. Like I have like 300 some odd Amex offers just on my Blue Cash every day. Will I use them all? No. But it's nice to know that I can possibly go in there and see like, oh, I can use this offer, and then, save some money on the back end. So that's my go-to for UI app, is Max Rewards. All the bank apps, for the most part, they're about the same. Some look a little prettier than others, but for the most part, you're going to get like the same similar usability. So, boom.
I love the idea of having one card for every issuer. I think the problem is that they care so much about when you pull the platinum card out of your wallet, or when you pull the Sapphire Reserve out of your wallet, or when you pull whatever card out of your wallet, that they will never actually want to do that.
It's a pipe dream. Like, obviously, there's a lot of level of status that comes with holding the cards, and yeah, but it's a perfect, it's like a perfect world situation. But I mean, in a perfect world, Chase has a 2x Freedom Unlimited, and there's no overlap. So we can go on and on about in a perfect world.
Yeah, like I love your idea. I just wanted to shout out how much I love your idea. I can't see them giving up that branding unless like you customize the card and like it did half a platinum and half a gold, or a platinum green and a gold on the physical card they send you or something, but I don't know.
Input future collaboration with Lion Card to get this going.
Alternatively, they could also look at just giving you like a customized design for yourself, so that when you pull out the card, like that one card, like it can be sort of, oh, this is my Chase card, but I made my Chase card gold because it's my golden ticket to everything. That was the lamest way to say that, but like there's definitely some moves that you can do there. Um for me, for tech features and real world applications, something I'd like to see, since we do kind of give up a lot of location data, and we do ask like banks will ask like what our location for our location data, would be things like, let's say there's a local restaurant to me that I really like to go to, and it just happens to be slow day, slow week for them, and they're offering like, they're telling the bank that the bank can like offer X amount percent cash back for coming in to the restaurant. Like, getting that level of data and granularity, we're really close to that. Where like, if um like dynamic cashback is slowly going to become a thing, where you don't just have the Chase offers or the American Express offers or the Wells Fargo deals that are set in stone. They'll eventually become they'll eventually probably become dynamic, where you can get like your favorite local place that's not on mileage plus X and not on rewards network and not within like build dining, but they need to move some product and they need to like feed you basically. And you'll be able to get like a dynamic 10% off your meal from your favorite local establishment, where like typically when I go out, I'm spending like going out for a night for myself, I'm spending like at least $100 after tip just for myself. But they're doing like a 10% back, $100 becomes 90. And I still got my 3 times points. I still got whatever. So if we're trading our location information, at least being able to get a little something back that'll add up over time. So I think dynamic deals will become a thing in time. I still think that you should get the option. I, like Lani, think that you should get the option that if you're going to use mobile wallet as your primary means of using a credit card, you should get an additional point either as baseline or on every multiplier, where like if the Sapphire Reserve was 4 times travel, 4 times dining, and I'm using that through mobile wallet, hey, you just made the Sapphire Reserve even better, right? Throw an extra point on for using it in mobile wallet on general spend. Hey, well, Chase finally has a 2x catch-all. So that would be great. The combination of those two would be amazing. And I feel like there's something else with regards to like mobile technology and credit cards that I'm not grabbing onto, but expanded mobile wallet dynamic deals would be interesting to see. Um, as far as my favorite app or UI, I also really like the Apple Card application. It's nice, it's clean, it tells you like the breakdown of how much you have to pay to avoid interest, and like the way that you can go around that is really, really nice. Especially as you've been running up a balance like month over month, not necessarily that you didn't pay your previous balance, but like your due date isn't for another couple weeks and you spent like 1,800 the month before and you're already at like 1,300. So you're at 3,100 of your credit available credit overall. Like you get that sliding scale of like, okay, that's what I have to pay. Cool. Now every app shows you that, but with the Apple app, it's just a lot more intuitive. Um, I can't really think of anything else that's like really clean like that. Max Rewards is all right. Um, the fact that I have to go in and refresh it and put in my stupid Apple code every time I open that application makes me want to throw it away. But they have gotten better. I could just remove the Apple Card from it anyway, because all I use my Apple Card for now is my Apple Watch and whatever other Apple product I happen to be putting on 12 and 24-month cycles. So yeah, I would like to see something where not only is it tap to pay, but also some sort of dynamic deal or dynamic offering that goes beyond what's already in the apps.
Wait, so I didn't want to like speed high. You said when you were dining out that $100 plus after tip. You said that's dining out just you yourself.
Yes.
Damn, big baller, I see you. Why don't you go ahead and you talk about that? May as well get the Hilton Aspire, dude. Big balling out like that, you may as well. Come on, big spender.
Disclaimer for everyone listening: Tariq's only 25 years old. He hasn't grown up and treated himself quite yet, so we're just gonna let him have this moment.
Tariq is
Yeah.
somebody who also like some of the beverages that Matt drinks. You can easily get 2 drinks, maybe 3, and hit that $100 mark in the area Matt is from.
See,
So
look, I don't really drink like that at restaurants for that reason. Girlfriend doesn't drink. Kind of helps that I don't drink. Most of my drinking I do is in the Alamo Dome parking lot hours before kickoff, where I get a lot of the beer and free
I'm just gonna ask you
shots
to
that I
stop
want.
talking. I'm just gonna ask you to stop talking. Just you know.
You didn't help your cause there.
You know what? I don't care. I've already embarrassed myself enough, so we're just gonna let it ride.
I bet you order your wine from the bottom of the menu, don't you?
He asks for the house special.
Wine from the menu. I just go to HEB.
Moving
All right,
on.
there's that too. Yeah. No, I think that dynamic idea would be really nice. Especially at some of the places I go to. But anyway, we'll go on to our next question, which comes from Keith S., who asks, what is your process or processes for determining which card or cards to cancel, and how do you approach the cancellation process? I've made some mistakes over the years. I won't cancel a card that's older than my average credit age. Lani, do you take a process to figure out which card to cancel, or is there an approach that you have for it?
So I am luckily enough that I've never really had to initiate canceling a card. I have had cards canceled, but that's because of inactivity. I've just kind of moved on. And then after, a couple of years, they're like, hey, you're not using this anymore. If you don't start using it, we're going to cancel it for you. That's personally my cancellation approach, because that doesn't affect my credit in my credit history or impact me in any way, because it's initiated on the card issuer side versus initiated on the consumer, my side. Um, Now, I've mentioned this before. I got a lot of, well, not a lot, but I do have a couple of cars that I've had for a very, very long time, like over 6 years, 7 years, over 10 years, some even longer than that, where part of your credit history, and I know it falls in like the 10% range, will be your average length of credit and your oldest credit accounts. So with having these, super old credit accounts, I never want to cancel them, because as I apply and get new cards, yes, it's going to change the average up, but it's still going to, weigh heavier on the longer term end, because I might have literally 3 or 4 cards that, like I said, are well over 7 years old, or maybe even over two of them over 10 years old. That is. Um, Now, if it were a newer card, maybe, but not necessarily a cancellation process. Once again, unless something changes. Um, I know we talk about Amex Gold. They just did a refresh earlier this year where a lot of people said they were canceling it, and yet they're still making videos on not having it. But anyway, that's what, neither here nor there. Um, but if things had changed so much that I no longer found value in the card on one of these newer cards, so let's just say my Amex Gold, because I've only had it for 2 years now, then yeah, I would cancel it, because 2 years ain't really going to do that much for me. Um, I've ran out the time. It's not going to impact me that big or anything like that. But now my cancellation process is purely based on value, where I'll just keep adding if I need to or if I can. But then at the same time, if I lose value in a card, especially like a $0 annual fee card, like let's say one of my Ink Cash, knowingly that I do use it every single month, so that wouldn't necessarily apply. But let's be hypothetical here. Let's just say my Ink Cash I just didn't use anymore. I would just let it sit there until Chase is like, hey, if you're not going to use this, we're going to cancel it for you. Cool. Thanks. Do it for me. Until then, like, I'm not going to do it. I don't need to do it. I'm not losing anything. I'm only gaining. So once again, it would just depend on the scenario or the situation.
Makes total sense. For me, I haven't had to make that decision yet or anything to that level. If I'm going to give up the Sapphire Reserve at any time right now, my first approach would be downgrade it, but I don't see myself downgrading it to a freedom of any sort. So yeah, I'm definitely keeping that card for now. Anything older than my average age of credit is a no annual fee card that's not hurting me to keep open. I'm going to start challenging Capital One on my Quicksilver card, but that'll be on them. and I'll have that closed in good standing. So that's going to stay on my credit report for a while. And then it's just a question of what is and isn't giving me value. So if the JetBlue business card isn't giving me value after year 2 or year 3, I can close that relatively easily. And then most of my other cards don't carry annual fees. So I can always just challenge the bank to close them if I really feel like it. RJ, your thoughts on this question?
So I have a couple of cards that will be closed after year 1 because I got them because of the house reno. So, you call or I call, you dig around for that lovely like retention offer. Am I insulted by the offer? Yes or no? And then you sort of go from there, right? Like it's the business platinum and the business gold. So they're not necessarily cards that I want to keep. So unless I get a sizable offer for a retention offer, they're not going to stay in my wallet. And I'm not particularly attached to them. It is nice to get the 4x transit versus the 3x transit from the green, but it's not like a deal breaker. It's it's 1x, so I can live with it. So for me, in those two cards specifically, I'll call, go from there. For other cards, I don't tend to cancel. I have had to in the past. I had some very bad credit cards at one point because I didn't know any better and I was 19 and you know you read the marketing for credit one and it doesn't sound horrible and then you realize that you're signing the pen that Ariel used with Ursula and you go, yeah, probably not my best move. So I have had to, cancel cards like that in the past. This was, 15-ish years ago, so it's been a minute. But yeah, I think honestly calling usually gives you the best result unless you just want the card gone. Like you can use the Amex chat to cancel a card. You may get a little bit of retention offer, but if you're going to try for that, calling tends to be the best way. But yeah, I think it really depends. Like if it's most of my cards or about half aren't $0 annual fee cards. So for me, having those sit there, I have to get value out of them, or I'm just paying to keep open like a business gold that does nothing for me necessarily. So it really is going to depend on your card makeup. But I agree, not canceling something older than your oldest card unless you have a really, really good reason, or I'm sorry, your average age of credit unless you have a really, really good reason, things like that. And I think the people who churn do run the risk of them running into a brick wall because that can bring down so many things of your credit report that yes, you can keep a super high credit score, but the companies also do pull the reports. And if they see those behaviors, um, that can influence if you get retention offers, that can influence, some of the offers you get and things like that. So if you're newer to churning, watch out for that. If you've been doing it for a decade, then I have nothing to say to you because you're better at churning than I am, and I'm comfortable with that.
There we go. And Tariq, any thoughts on process or upcoming processes in the next year?
So I have made the unfortunate mistake back when I was swearing off credit cards because I was a Dave Ramsey disciple, for better and for worse. I actually closed. It was a Discover It student Chrome card. First of all, I should have just got the Discover It cashback. I don't know what I was thinking, but that's beside the point. I mean, I probably should just cancel for just having that crappy card to begin with. But regrettably, I canceled the card after I paid up because I did rack up a bunch of debt, which is why I was going to be a Dave disciple. Um, Obviously, hindsight being 2020, I would have just kept the card because I think it is out of all the personal cards that are not authorized user cards, it was my oldest card, my current, no, second oldest now, or at the time, oldest now was canceled because of inactivity. And then now my current oldest card I still use from time to time. So that was a mistake. I wish I would have never canceled that Discover card, but that's besides the point now. Um, for the most part, I have majority $0 annual fee cards, and then the cards that have annual fees Sapphire Preferred and my IHG Business. I plan on keeping them. The only card that I will say that I did get for the most part for the sub, and I'm still going to use the benefits, is that World of Hyatt business card with that $199 annual fee. And I'm going to be playing that keep or cancel game. I'm likely going to cancel the card just because even though like I get the $50 statement credits that I'll likely just use for like the Hyatt restaurants, I don't think in my eyes this is going to justify paying $200 because I'll net effectively, for lack of a better term, like I'll get like $100 in value for the $200 card, which even though I stay at Hyatt primarily, I don't plan on putting a bunch of spend on the card to get like the 5 night credits outside of getting the sub for it. It's just not a long-term card for me. So, but because I plan on eventually getting the ink cash sometime in September, once I'm done, September of next year, once I'm playing, going through all the subs. I know that with that new welcome offer, they lowered the base, like the minimum credit limit that you can get on there, which I think is like $1,100 now. And like every last business card that I've gotten has gotten the minimum credit limit. So at least what I'm going to do when I decide to cancel that Hyatt card, I'm going to open the in cash first. And since I'm likely going to get that $1,100 limit, I have the $5,000 limit with that Hyatt business card. I'll move as much as I can, whether it be 4,000, 4,500, $4,900, however much they'll let me move, and I'll move it to that IHG or the ink cash so that once I'm ready to close it, I have the higher limit on that ink cash for me to start working on the sub better. And then after that, I'll close it. They'll go through the whole spiel with Chase. I don't I don't know how it's going to work. I don't. They're not like Amex. I don't know that they're not going to do a retention offer, but they'll probably be like, "Are you sure? I mean, you use this benefit, this benefit." I'm like, "Yeah, but $100, but I'm paying $200 for the card. It ain't worth it for me." But that's that strategy. But that's not going to be for another like 11-ish months, like until the annual fee hits on that card. So I got some time.
There you go. And our last question, just want to ask this one because it has been sitting in our to-do list for the longest time. This one comes from SpaethCo. It reads, there always seems to be a buzz around travel protections on cards, but when you dig into the terms, only a small subset of events are covered, and the insurance generally excludes the really expensive things that a lot of people assume are covered, like buying last-minute replacement flights. Chase specifically never covers additional alternate transportation on any of their cards. What's your take on these protections? Are they appropriately revered or are they overrated? And is your opinion based on personal experience with the claim process? Follow up from Keith on this one is a $200 annual travel insurance policy a better option? I myself don't have a way to answer this. I haven't had the option, not I haven't had anything spring up where I've had to initiate a claim or anything like that. Also, Chase has a brand new claims website, and so their process is now going to be different than it was. There was some talk about that on the Stack Your Points Discord earlier today, so shout out to the Discord and join the Discord for those conversations. Lani, I'm going to turn to you for this question. Then I'll ask RJ and Tariq if you have anything to throw it in after RJ.
Man, there are some layers to this question. I was trying to write down notes as fast as I could. But the very, very, very first thing I would say is actually, even before I get into my answer, yes, there's a lot of buzz around travel protections. There's also a really thick pamphlet on like all the terms and conditions around those travel protections. And it's on you as a card holder to make sure that you understand and read them. Because yes, it might be ambiguous, it might not be 100% clear, but they tell you everything. Now, I've actually used a lot of different type of travel protections, not just on the rental card side, but even on trip side. And depending on what it is, because Amex Platinum, it specifically has really stepped their game up over the last like year or so. So much so that I ended up getting a card in 2024, my Amex Platinum card for the first time. I've had my Chase Sapphire Reserve for very, very long, like 2016, 2017. So I'm very used to that. And then, as Matt mentioned, they have changed it over some time. Yes. But at the same time, I would still, to this day, lean on my Chase Sapphire Reserve card when it comes to travel insurances or protections, unless I was going to buy external or third party travel insurance. The reason I say all this in context because some of those terms and conditions that you see or that you receive for Amex Platinum, um, it's usually if you were to buy a trip in any way, shape, or form, it could be paid cash or with Amex points or whatever. Um, Usually everything has to go through the platinum card. And the second that it doesn't, it's broken. Now, the only difference is if you're paying in two separate ways. So, for example, if I buy my flight with one card and then I buy my hotel with another card. But if you were to go through any type of travel booking site where they both charges are, you know, total together on one receipt and you try to split it, let's say, like, once again, down payment vacation or something like that, do a down payment or make payments over X amount of time, and you split that up between multiple cards. Amex says, we're out. You have no insurance with us. You have no protections with us. Chase, on the other hand, at least with the Sapphire Reserve, will say, we'll cover you for what you actually paid. Now, the second part of that is this new language, and it's called, well, it's not called, but they say prepaid and non-refundable trips, which is really big because it changes a lot of things. Because if you were to book a hotel, it's like put the down payment on the hotel and then you pay the remainder when you check out after your trip. That could be 2, 3 months, 6 months later. But with a fully prepaid, non-refundable trip, I actually feel more secure. Now, of course, you need to make sure you have the financial means to cover said trip or whatnot. So don't put yourself in debt for the travel protection itself. Do what's best for you. But for me, it's like, cool, I'll just go ahead and pay for the entire hotel right now. I'll go ahead and pay for the entire trip right now. Or I'll go pay for, the airline and everything right now because it's like, oh, canceled. Oh, can't go. Can't do this. I'm still covered. And it's that aspect where I have actually found much benefit. I've mentioned it in my videos before where I've saved over $8,000 on a single trip because it was fully prepaid and non-refundable. My wife and son caught COVID literally the day we were supposed to fly out, and I got all of the money back. Was able to rebook all that other fun stuff. So yes, there is a lot of buzz, but that's also on you to read that thick pamphlet of protections to make sure that you're fully covered and what you're actually covered for. And if you do, when you book a trip, you'll feel way more comfortable and like, hey, I don't need travel protection. I don't need to buy travel insurance. I'm covered. So I'm a living testament of it. That's where I'm going to stop for now.
I don't trust it. As somebody who is deals with insurance a lot, I have read over the declarations pages. I have read over different things like that. I have a familiarity with the terms they're using. I know sort of the way they're wording it and why they're wording certain things. Now, I'm not saying it's crap. I'm not saying they're hosing you. I'm not saying any of that. But what I am saying is, like Vegas, the house is usually going to win. Now, there are some really handy things, right? Like Amex has like some auto coverages that you can pay for. I think it's like 25 bucks. And it covers a lot more than most companies do, partly because you're paying for it in that way, like a very specific way. So that's a little bit different. Most of the time you're going to be dealing with a third party. Amex, I think, is the only one that kind of sort of does it in-house, but you're going to be dealing with a third party that's not Chase or not another company typically. So that is something also to deal with, because they're going to be dealing with a lot of claims. They're going to be dealing sort of with different companies with different expectations. So you might not get the level of service that if you have, Farmers for your auto, they want to keep you a customer because they want your premium every year for your, $2,000 auto policy. But these companies don't have that beholdens to sort of customer service and to make you as happy. You can figure out what third party they're using and look up the reviews for those companies, because usually when you do, the slight horror that you're feeling is something that you should not dismiss immediately. Because some of these companies are not good companies. And I don't mean to disparage anybody, and I'm not naming names for a very particular reason, but definitely understand who's underwriting these policies, definitely understand who's actually doing the claims for the policies that you have. They also aren't going to cover you for things like liability. So if you're taking trips and going places and you bump into somebody and they fall down and break their hip, none of the protections you have are going to cover you for something like that. So having something like a personal lines umbrella policy is something that no travel protection is going to cover you for. And that's something that happens a lot. You bump into somebody, think if you bumped into, somebody who's your grandmother's age, they go down, medical bills happen. I know that I am taking this into places because of my life that I don't think most people are thinking about. The problem is that most people don't think about insurance until they need it. And when you need it is the worst possible time to think about it, because you probably don't actually have what you need. So I spend a lot of time thinking about the coverages I have, what I don't have. I have read over the exclusions, and I don't love it, but I also understand that it's a grade, right? Like it is like Amex can be the best of the travel insurances, or, the best of the automatic insurances. Chase is also can be very good, but it is a grade, right? It is sort of a grade off of that. If you travel a lot, I would recommend probably finding a company that will insure you for travel insurance, sort of secondary, or I'm sorry, not secondary, but like on your own, instead of buying it through or relying on Amex or Chase, because you're going to be able to pick your policy and pick those terms, and it tends to be more built to you versus just built to the cardholder in general. But yeah, I could talk about this topic all night, but I don't want to see the glazed over looks in my co-host's face as I talk about insurance all night, so I'm going to cede the floor.
I'm actually going to jump back in because you said two things there, RJ. I wasn't going to go that deep, but you know, went and stirred the pot. So first off, liability. You're 100% right. Not all cards provide liability insurance. I know the Sapphire Reserve does. I don't remember the exact amount up to that it does, but it does. But once again, make sure you read your terms and conditions, because it does only cover you and direct family members. So you're on a friend's trip and your friend bumps into that nice old lady, that doesn't count. You can't use that. Tariq is not married, so his significant other does not count. Those types of things are written in there, and you need to pay attention to them. Now, the second thing that RJ had mentioned, because like I said, she went deep, and I'm going to go deep because I've actually used my travel insurance. And yes, third party travel insurance through the credit card does kind of suck, but it sucks in one particular way, and it's a lot of time. It takes a lot of time. And I love the analogy that you used of it's like Vegas and the house will win. They will do whatever. I'm not going to say they're doing it on purpose. They're not being nefarious, but they're going to ask you for so much stuff to prove that claim that if you're not 100% on your game, you are just shooting yourself in the foot of either not getting your full claim or not getting it approved at all. So things first off is, and this is the one thing I hate the most, where is the damn website to file the claim? I bookmark it. I have every single insurance website booked in my Chrome because of this. It is not easy to find. It is not on like the websites or directly with your credit card. And they do this on purpose because, one, it takes more time, or it prevents you from filing the claim in general. Just like she said, it's a business. But anyway, they're going to ask for your receipts. They're going to ask for dates. They're going to ask for your credit card statements. all of this stuff. So still to this day, every time I book a trip, it goes into my Google Drive, every single receipt, every single confirmation number, every single thing that I used to pay with which card and when I paid for it. And then when I leave, I get the PDF from the hotel or whatever, and I upload that into the Drive folder for every single trip. So every single trip has its own Drive folder. I'm very organized in my Google Drive. But it's because of this particular scenario of like, just in case there's something were to happen, I have it because I know they're going to ask for it. So now I succeed the floor.
There you go. Again, I will take a pass on this. Tariq, have you had to go through the process or just taking notes based on the possibility of having to need to do it, but you haven't yet?
So, in the spirit of being the young co-host that is known for being well ill prepared, I have fortunately not had to use any of my insurances or protections. I think I might have some, I think just with the Sapphire Preferred, and I'm not even going to deal with the business cards because we already discussed that. Go see a couple episodes back if you ain't figured it out yet. Um, I did bookmark the email that I got from Chase for the new protections. And by bookmark, I did that while Lani was doing his rant. So
It's a
again,
start. You're welcome. It's a start.
in the spirit of being ill prepared, I'm like, oh, I should probably know that. And like I said, it's somewhere. Um, I have when I've gotten the like opened like my Sapphire Preferred or anytime I get the beautiful plain white envelope from a P like that has a return address from a PO box in like Delaware or North South Dakota or wherever, I do go through the pamphlet and I like to go read and see what it is. But it's more like somewhere more than like a glance or skim, but not enough to where I'm like, okay, I know fully what is going on with this. And again, just based off of what I've heard from anecdotes between Lani and even I think talking to Joe when he had a claim with the Sapphire Preferred on auto insurance. Um, do your research, do your due diligence, and maybe have a friend that happens to be in the insurance agency that can give you some better pointers because it doesn't seem like they're the best because these card companies, these banks don't want to give you as money if they don't have to. They'd rather take your money. So I yield the rest of my time.
All right. Well, with that, I think we're going to wrap up questions for the week. Just wanted to get that final question out of the queue. But that's going to do it for this week's episode of Stack Your Points. If you like what we do, hit the like and subscribe button down on the YouTubes. If you want to leave us a question, use our YouTube comments for that. You can also join the Stack Your Points Discord. We are in there as moderators, checking everything. Check out the podcast questions to leave us questions there. Podcast chat, just to talk about the podcast, and our general chat is a really fun place as well. If you're on the podcatcher of your choice, please feel free to leave us a 5-star review or a recommendation of some sort, whether that be Overcast, Icecast, Pocketcast, Audible, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, not really, but hey, we're mainly on the YouTube channel for our videos. As always, thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.